2017 forecast, healing and rebuilding. This is the process that we're going to go through this year, recovering, healing, rebuilding, and becoming whole. Well, we've made it to another year, 2017, and be thankful and count your blessings because so many did not make it into this year. 2016 was a heavy emotional year for so many people, and it's taken a hard toll on many of us. After months of being faced with and accepting and dealing with the loss of our spiritual connections, we can now enter 2017, where our healing finally can begin. The majority of humans heard the call of our universe and felt the constant spiritual tugs to restore or reset our collective being, individual self, and connection to the divine. And because as a collective many of us have been driven, taken, or chosen to veer so far off the spiritual path, there were significant consequences. But the divine, God, whatever name you use, is recognized to be our higher power, allowed us free will, and that could not be revoked. Remember, free will is a blessing from God, and you've got a lot of choices, and He does not control those free will choices. Here's what I see about our collective energy in 2017. It's now our time of healing from the wounds of the past, over the year or other years. The challenges faced, and for many, it was just a disconnection of spirit. We not only rebuild our spiritual energy core and lives, but also our countries that are divided, and nations that choose conflict rather than compromise. This is the year the fracture is healed, and the wounds are soothed and tended. Our lesson is to heal. It is to sometimes endure the pain as the process begins, and to understand releasing and letting go, versus forgetting the importance of the lesson. We also face obstacles and challenges in moving past and away from being right, and instead into the energy of what serves the collective and therefore is right. The healing is within, but it's also extended to one another and must be without judgment or whatever. We receive what we are capable of giving, and give as much love and light out into the world as you can, because I guarantee it will come back. This will be a year of great and profound changes, of miracles and endless possibilities for all. This is a more upbeat year than I've seen in a while. What I see for our spiritual lesson in 2017 is that it's a time of peace, grace, and prosperity. Grace is the definition of accepting what is and then doing our part or share to help any transition go smoothly. It is a lesson that our greater good is always what matters most, and each of us is the greater good. This is the year that spiritually we are to lay down our weapons and instead extend the olive branch as the symbol and as it is offered to all. The energy encourages and even assists those who are genuine and earnest and can see the outcome or the greater vision that peace, unity, and allies represent. And it's not a time to hold back, it's a time to let go. 2017 has the potential to raise the collective and all cultures, religions, and humans to a place of total and complete alignment if we allow it. But it's about your intentions, your manifestations, what you put out. Love and relationships, always a big question. In 2017, we are likely to see a new and more accepting form of love, friendship, and even casual encounters. If we follow the lessons in energy, 2017 is literally from love, as only love can fully unite or align on such a large scale. Those already in committed relationships will place a greater importance on the family unit. There will be some changes back to an earlier way of life. where families use resources for time together rather than bigger homes or larger cars. And they also put down their cell phones at dinners and actually had conversation. The main thing I'm getting for 2017 is that we need to increase our communication skills. And that is not going to come from texting. That comes from one-on-one conversations by phone or in person or in a group. It comes from real exchanges of energies. And those that want long-lasting relationships are going to have to start learning to communicate directly and not rely upon text for relationships. For those that have entered or clung to toxic relationships, the significant energy to harmonize will eventually bring the collapse of these relationships. You can't hold up these dysfunctional relationships forever. Although our free will is always giving precedence over destiny, this makes it possible for some relationships to survive, if only by a thin thread. You will have a strong opportunity to meet life partners and even soulmates this year. When it comes to friends, family, and our more casual acquaintances, once again, the spiritual rules drive us to use forgiveness, release any old grudges, to come together with a strong sense of mutual understanding and compromise. Those families that fed on drama and chaos will be quiet in energy and instead thrive on compassion and offering support. This 2017 is a year of healing and reaffirming, and our relationships are a priority in all we do and are. About jobs and the economy in general, the U.S. may see some instability the first 2 months of 2017. As we enter this time of healing and rebuilding, we at times must tear down what is no longer suitable before we can rebuild a stronger, sturdier, and more suitable structure, and this describes our economy quite well. We are likely to see a somewhat significant drop in stocks and prices, and then we're going to see a rise until they reach the necessary setting that serves the good for all. From what I've seen, this feels to be a great improvement from the last few years. Jobs will be more in abundance, with better wages, and many countries involved in economics reform that promotes a much higher standard of living for the average person or family. We should not expect to see much in the way of positive and major shifts until about midway through the year, but we will see growth from the beginning, or at least in the first few months. The U.S. will be a front runner in economy, trade, and outsourcing, but the long-term effects will end up beneficial to all other countries or to the whole of everything. Government and politics, a little rundown on that. 2016 has been filled with bitter feuds, unprecedented scandals, riots, and a division within the U.S. that hasn't existed since the 60s. While the U.S. was affected the greatest, most of the nations also became involved, as the outcome would or claimed to directly affect many of the current agreements and contracts. From countries that threaten to literally bomb or use nuclear attack upon the U.S. if a certain person was in this position or that, we're going to see them back down a bit. It was very chaotic and destructive and lacked any spiritual connection. It is vital we repair the collective fracture and all of the cracks so we can reset, repair, and finally rebound back to compassionate but strong order. The first quarter or so may be filled with conflict, uprising, and chaos as each country finds a new niche and begins to join in the unity, healing, and rebuilding. As we get closer to the middle and end of 2017, there will be extreme changes in leadership and the governing of such leaderships, which will be substantially more benevolent and with a strong spiritual agenda. Global threats will remain in progress, and the large terrorist groups we are all quite familiar with at this time will strike in 2017. This is a year of revelations, and we engage our highest power and empowerment to work towards healing and rebuilding. 2017 is a year that will be remembered not just in our spiritual selves or core, but it will go down in history as the year that change came in great proportions and amazing form. Each of us that is a part of the greater good, and we all participate and we all benefit, and it's going to show. By the end of 2017, we will be very close to the vision that was used in our creation. An open, accepting, compassionate universe with humanity filled with grace, and where all of nature is taken care of rather than for granted. That is where we need to be. Remember, we are all part of the same world, and that's what we need to think of. Thank you for listening. This is Cherokee Billie, and may you have a blessed and peaceful 2017.